Hey, it's Sparky Pfeiffer from 1250 AM The Fan, beautiful Milwaukee, Wisconsin. How the heck are we doing here on a winning Bucks game one night as the Bucks win 118 to 117? Nathan Marzian not with me tonight. He was at the Bucks game tonight at Fiserv Forum, seeing the debut of Damian Lillard, and what a debut it was for Lillard and the Milwaukee Bucks. Something that I don't think you could have drawn it up any better. If you're Damian Lillard, or if you're a fan of Damian Lillard or this Milwaukee Bucks team. I mean, think about it. Damian Lillard comes out and gets 39 points, 8 boards, 4 assists in his very first game as a member of the Milwaukee Bucks. Giannis. Giannis is going to have to maybe make some adjustments here going forward. 23 points, 13 boards, 3 assists on the night for Giannis. And again, if you look at the box score, 10 of 22, it's not horrible, right? I mean, it's under 50%. That's not the issue. This is the issue. The issue is we cannot have Giannis going 1-on-5 anymore with Lillard on the floor. Now, again, if it's Giannis and Connaughton and Beauchamp and Campaign and Robin Lopez or something, okay, fine. I guess I'll look past it if that's how we're going to do it. But when it's Giannis and Lillard and Middleton and Brook Lopez and whoever else is out there, Beauchamp, Connaughton, Beasley, don't care who the other guy is, you can't go 1-on-5, dude. Like, we're done with this. It's all done. That is not Drew Holiday. That is Damian freaking Lillard. Stop. That's enough. No more of 1-on-5 stuff. You have guys open all over the place when you do that. You can go to the rim, but multiple times Crowder was open in that corner. He could obviously see Crowder in the corner. Pass the basketball. Please pass the basketball. Second thing. These 3-point shots are going to drive me batty if this is going to continue to be a thing. Like, there's just no reason for it. None. Now, again, if you're up 15, you want to take a 3, fine. Go ahead. Take your 3. But in a close game, no pull-up threes at the beginning of shot clocks and dumb shots like that. That's unnecessary. Now, again, if it's, 3, 4, 5 seconds left, right, and they're sagging off you, daring you to take a shot, and nobody else can seemingly get open to get the ball from you, then fine, take the shot. Have at it. But I'm telling you right now, like, times are a-changing. Giannis has to adapt to having Damian Lillard on his basketball team. This is not any more of, well, if I pass the ball to Holiday, maybe he'll make something happen. And Middleton, he plays 16 minutes tonight, and that was it for Middleton. And Mark on YouTube leaves a comment, streaming live on the Odyssey Sports YouTube page, by the way. And he says, what's up with Middleton? Middleton, who prior to training camp, Adrian Griffin said, oh, he was fine. He's good. Yeah, everybody's ready to go. Here we go. Then we get to training camp, and Milton doesn't practice forever. Then finally gets to practicing, gets in a couple of preseason games at the end, and now he's on a minutes restriction here as well. So we're still dealing with the knee thing that we were dealing with before. Even though they say he's fine, they're slowly ramping him up to get right. Then look, as Nathan Marzian, who was off tonight because he was at the Bucks game, has said numerous times, who cares? Who cares how long it takes Middleton to get going? You need Middleton to be good and strong and going into the playoffs, right? This regular season isn't about Middleton playing 30 minutes a night necessarily. It's more about making sure Middleton and Lillard and Giannis are all healthy at the end and ready to go into the postseason. That's what you want. So fine. So we deal with that. But back to Giannis. 1-on-5. No more. That needs to stop, especially when Lillard is out there with Middleton and Brook. No more of that. No more of this early 3-point shots either. I don't want to see any more of that either. There's no need for that. You have a premier basketball player with you. Now we have to act like he is a premier offensive basketball player. He single-handedly almost went on a run all by himself in the second quarter. What was it, like 29-6, 29-4 run, something like that. And 15 of those points were Lillard. And then in the last quarter, 14 points on that big run that they made. That was all Damian Lillard too at the end of the game. Understand who you're playing with. I mean, I know you say, I want Dame to be Dame. Cool. then you can't continue to play like he's not on the floor. Like, I get you want to get your shots, Giannis. I'm down with it. You're MVP and everything else. But man, sometimes tonight I was just shaking my head, and then you want to force stuff and you turn it over. It was frustrating watching him play tonight. It was, and it's only a regular season game, right? So it doesn't really matter. But in the pregame on TNT, when it was Shaq and Charles Barkley and those guys, and they were having a conversation about how these two guys have to learn how to play together, right? And they're talking about the fact that they both have to be who they are. One can't, bow down to the other. They both just have to go put up their points and let everybody around them adjust to how they play. At the time, I said, okay. After watching this game, no. Giannis has to make an adjustment. He's going to be the one that needs to make the adjustment. He has to start to play smarter basketball. He just does. And I'm not saying he's a dumb player, but you can't continue to run into a massive humanity and try and throw up a shot, or run into two defenders on purpose and throw up a prayer. Can't have it. Just can't. That has to stop. Damian Lillard, unbelievable, right? Unbelievable. He didn't look great in preseason. Lights went on, give me the ball and get out of my way. And that's exactly what they should do. The Lillard Giannis pick and roll and what that's all going to look like. Saw it a little bit. There wasn't a bunch special about any of it necessarily. We'll see how that continues to develop going forward. Again, this offense got in its best rhythm in the second quarter when Giannis was on the bench watching. That's what they got on that run with that great ball movement. And everybody's like, oh, this is great. I can't wait. And I said to people that were texting me, okay, fine. It's the first half of game one. Let's see how this ball movement looks, 10, 20, 30 games in the season. Will it consistently be that same way? That's what we're going to have to wait and see. The one that we don't have to wait and see, this is a better basketball team than it has been the last 2 years because Damian Lillard is on this damn basketball team. Period. End of story. If you're watching on YouTube, on the Odyssey Sports YouTube page, you got questions, you got comments on the Bucks game tonight, leave it in the comment section. I'll read them right here on the podcast. And again, if you are listening to this later after the fact, maybe you're listening to this Friday morning when we post these on the Odyssey app or wherever you download your favorite podcasts. Don't forget, anytime if you follow me on Twitter or if you follow Nathan Marzion or 1250 AM The Fan, I will tweet out from time to time that, hey, we're going to be doing a live post-game show after games, and we plan on doing more of these this year than we did last year in our first year. And again, fan base has doubled as far as listeners go from last year to this year. So thank you for everybody tuning in and checking out the podcast. Other things to get to on the podcast besides just that. Let's talk a little bit about what happened at the end of the first half, right? Those last 4 minutes or whatever it was, where they decided, or was it the 4 minutes of the third quarter? I think it was maybe the 4 minutes of the third quarter, whatever. I think it was the third quarter, where he decided that he was just going to pretty much let his bench all play together. The point of all of this staggering stuff in the beginning of the game, right? Giannis goes out 4 or 5 minutes into the game and everybody goes out in sequence. So then Lillard's by himself. And then when Lillard goes out, Giannis comes in and he's by himself with his bench guys. And then you continue to bring this up. Okay. And then they eventually all come together and that's how you end the half or whatever. You can't have 3 or 4 minutes with none of them on the floor. Like it can't happen. You cannot do that. And I get it. You're going into the fourth. You want everybody rested and ready to go and so forth. And you had a nice lead, so you're feeling comfortable. And poof, away it went because you had your entire bench on the floor at the same time. That type of stuff should not happen. It should not happen unless and only if, right, you're up by like 30 points or something. Then fine, go play your whole bench. Or everybody's in foul trouble and you have to. But voluntarily, no, I don't voluntarily want to ever see that again. The other thing that I find interesting in this whole thing is Marjon Beauchamp versus Pat Connaughton. I want to see how minutes are going to play for these two going forward. Because Marjon Beauchamp there in the first half, he gave you some good minutes. I didn't think he'd come in that early. I didn't think they were going to put him on max and go guard the dude. Like I didn't see that coming. So that tells me that Adrian Griffin and this staff, they trust him. They trust MarJon Beauchamp. And as much as Nathan and I were kind of like, yeah, we'll see about Beauchamp. Yeah, we'll see. Okay, maybe we'll see how he goes. They clearly trust him more than we do at this point. There's no question. They trust MarJon Beauchamp. And it's going to come down to, I think, between Beauchamp and Pat Connaughton for legitimate minutes off of the bench this season, because Beauchamp came in early. And Pat Connaughton had that great block from behind there at the end of the game. If you know me, you know I'm not a huge Pat Connaughton fan, right? He's a great hustle guy. Other than that, he's erratic from outside. When he gets going, it's great, right? Then you love him. When he misses a couple, you know it's probably going to go that way for a majority of the night. So he's frustrating to me to watch. I get why he's out there, right? He's a glue guy. These guys all love playing with him. Lillard played with him. Giannis loves him. Bud loved him when he was the coach. So I get it. I understand. But if MarJon Beauchamp, with his length, can provide good, solid defense and be that guy that can get out and run and provide some different stuff, I'm good with it. Like, you want to throw him in there and see what happens? I'm all for it. I got another one here. Sparky, I love Drew, but I don't think we win tonight with him on this team besides Damian Lillard. 1,000% accurate. No question. And I tweeted it out at some point during the game at Sparky Radio, and I said, guys, normally when Giannis struggles, this offense isn't very good, and they lose. And that was not the case tonight. Giannis was not great offensively, as we talked about to start this podcast, and yet the Bucks still were out in front at that point of that tweet. They were still up by 6 or 8 or whatever it was when I tweeted that out. Now, eventually the Sixers came back and got the lead for a second. But for the most part, even with Giannis not having a great offensive night at any stretch, really, they were still able to overcome it and win it. And no, Drew Holiday's not going for 39 points in this game like this. This is, again, if you all, and I know there are some Bucks fans that did not stay up and watch Damian Lillard on the Portland Trailblazers, right? How many people were watching Trailblazers games for the last 10 years? I don't know. Probably not a lot. And that's fine if that is the case, that you weren't having a lot of people watching the Trailblazers. But this is what this dude is, man. I'm not saying he's going to get 39 every night, but what I am telling you is he is going to be the guy at the end of games. I promise you, he's going to be the guy. This is not going to be, and it better not ever be, Giannis dribbling the ball for 5 seconds, spawning the air out of the ball, and then deciding, here we go, and I'm running hard at the rim, trying to go through everybody. That's done. The ball will always be in Lillard's hands, regardless of the situation, to end a game every time when the game on the line. It has to be. Now, he can make the decision if he wants to drive and kick to somebody or what he wants to do. I trust Damian Lillard's decision on what he wants to do. Without question, I trust it. Rainbow Trout says, why doesn't Giannis improve in the offseason? His shot is no better. Maybe it's worse. Yeah, I don't know. Look, I can't sit here and tell you that the man doesn't work, because he does work. He works his tail end off. You talk to everybody over in that organization, he's the hardest working guy they've probably ever seen in their careers for most part. This dude works at huge, high levels. Like Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, these guys works at that high of a level. Now, has he reached his ceiling? This is as good as he's going to get as far as shooting the basketball and all of that stuff. Maybe it is. I don't know, how you get to the next level. I agree. It feels like he's kind of hit his ceiling as far as what that jump shot's going to be kind of going forward. Because it really doesn't feel like it's changed much the last several years, right? Not that much. Without looking at percentages, just watching him, it doesn't appear it changed all that much. But that's okay, because he can win and dominate games in other areas other than having to take a 15 or 18-foot jump shot or a three-point shot. He can win games in other ways and still be a dominant player. And to me, you had him go work with Hakeem Olajuwon. I promise you, they did not work on... I shouldn't say I promise. I wasn't there. I would assume that Hakeem Olajuwon was not showing him how to shoot a three-point shot the entire time they were working. Now, I would assume if you're going to work out with Hakeem Olajuwon, that we are practicing playing with the ball in the post, learning a move here, learning a move there with my back to the basket. in double team situations what to do. They ran 3 dudes at him. He spun baseline, scored. Beautiful. Beautiful. That's what you want to see. Let Giannis play within 10, 12 feet of the hoop. That's where you want him to be. Personally, that's where I want him to be. Now, some of you who were mad at Jason Kidd for telling him not to shoot threes, maybe you still want him to shoot 5 to 10 threes and hope it works. I'm off that train, never been on that train, never wanted to that train to even start to begin with. But if you worked with Hakeem, now let me see what you've done. Let me see what you worked on. Let's give Giannis an opportunity to be that guy. Now, maybe they didn't want to do that tonight because Joel Embiid's out there and they didn't feel comfortable putting him in that situation. So maybe we see something of what he worked on with Hakeem at some point. But I would be interested in knowing what exactly you worked on as far as adding to your game or whatever the case was. Or was this a situation where you went and talked to Hakeem and it was, yeah, some physical, but it was more the mental part of it and learning different situations on the court, and Hakeem was teaching you that type of stuff of what to look for. Maybe it was more of that than it was actually physical. Don't know, but I'd love to hear more about that. Let's see here. Another one from Joshua. That was one of the worst games I've seen from Giannis, but once Dame and Giannis gain chemistry, it's over. Yes. And that's the thing. You know, we talk about this Giannis 1-on-5 stuff and all of that. Damian Lillard is going to fix this. I'm telling you right now. He's going to fix it. Remember the Damian Lillard quote of, I'm probably going to piss off Giannis at some point, and then we'll see where this kind of goes from there. And Giannis being Giannis, so he can't piss me off. Like, he's Damian Lillard. Why would I ever be mad at Damian Lillard? I'll tell you right now, if this keeps happening the way it did tonight, at some point, Damian Lillard is going to be like, dude, you've got to trust the rest of us. Like, you can't continue to run into 5 guys and not pass the basketball. Like, this cannot be a thing all year. You're going to drive me nuts. And it's one thing, if he's going and he's going to force something and everybody's covered. But that's never the case because they always collapse on him. And once they collapse, pick your guy to throw it to and get rid of it. Just Shaq was saying the exact same thing. The exact same thing Shaq was saying about Joel Embiid at halftime of this game on TNT. Shaq was saying these guys on the outside, when Embiid got doubled, they got to be where they're supposed to be for Embiid to get him the ball. They can't be indecisive. They got to be where they're supposed to be. Same thing. When Giannis goes, everybody's got to be in whatever spot they're going to be in so Giannis can get you the ball and not force up some crazy circus shot or draw a foul or a charge or something crazy. And I know they won. I get that they won. And I get Damian Lillard was all of that. But if this team is going to go where we want it to go, Giannis is going to have to knock some of this crap off. We've watched it his whole career. He's done it forever. But he's going to have to stop doing some of this stuff going forward if this offense is truly going to be what everybody wants it to be, which is passing the basketball, swinging the basketball, guys getting their open shots, and spacing the floor. That is what it has to be. I mean, there was that one possession late where Giannis goes up, throws up a horrible shot, I think, but throws up a shot, misses it, gets it back, throws up another shot, misses that, gets the rebound back, finally passes it out to Lillard, who drains the 3. But see, that's the thing he's got to understand. When you go crashing in, there's people open all over the court. Now you just got to make up your mind where you're going with it and then go from there. And once Middleton can actually play legitimate minutes, a guy that he knows and trusts, if he's over there on the wing as he's driving and he's open, I'm guessing Giannis will have a lot easier time throwing it to him versus maybe Crowder, with all due respect to Jay, who was there, second half of last year, who looked much better tonight, I think, than what he looked like last year. Crowder looks better. And I'm happy Crowder looks better. Very happy. Got somebody else asking about Middleton. Middleton is on a minutes restriction still, coming off that knee thing. So that's going to take time before you get Middleton up to 30 minutes. I'm guessing, I don't know, maybe by the end of next week, early the following week, maybe we'll finally get him up to around 30 minutes or somewhere in that area. I mean, they all say he's fine and he's healthy, but yet he's on a minutes restriction, and they're taking their time to ramp him up. And as I said at the beginning of the podcast, that Nathan Marzian and I both agree with, that take your time. No rush. You just need him for the playoffs. Need him healthy for the playoffs. That's the one thing you have to have. Now, the one thing I don't want to see happen is I don't want to see Middleton missing 5-6 games a month, not playing at all. right? That's what you don't want to see, because that means there's something more going on, something nagging if he can't play, legitimately. So we're going to have to wait and see about that. Got another one here from DeJuan who said, how about the defense by MarJon? I totally agree. And again, that's something else that I mentioned earlier. MarJon versus Pat Connaughton. I think we'll see going forward. I think there's a chance MarJon's going to steal Pat Connaughton's job. I do. I think there's a legit chance that he is going to take that man's job before we get to maybe even the All-Star break. I'm not going to say Christmas. I want to say Christmas, but he looked good tonight, guys. He really did. He looked way better than I thought he was going to look. And if, he can play good defense and be where he's supposed to be, that may be enough for him to get that job. It may be. And we're going to have to see how this whole thing plays out. Here's another one for you. How about the defense that the Bucks played? This is not Bud's defense. No. This is not Bucks defense. This defense is running doubles at everybody, swarming everybody, playing so close to you, you can smell the dude's gum if he's chewing gum. That's how up in their grill they are. This is much different than what we saw from Budenholzer. And this defense here, two things. One, you're going to create more turnovers on deflections because some dudes are going to panic and make a bad decision. And you saw it tonight. Bucks players getting the ball thrown right to them and going back the other way because somebody made a bad decision. So it's going to create more turnovers. But the other thing it's going to do is it's going to lead to more wide open shots, uncontested shots in some situations. I saw people on Twitter going, oh my God, we're giving up all these threes. What's the difference? Well, there's a big difference. Before, we're running and chasing, but we weren't doing anything aggressive, trying to create turnovers, trying to be a difference on the defensive side of the ball. Now we are. So now if you get burned and somebody's open, it's probably because you went to double a guy to try to create a turnover or create a bad situation. That person made a great pass to a wide open guy and he hit it. And when you run that defense, you live with that and go, okay, fine. But you're gambling that you're going to create more mistakes than you're going to give. Weren't you excited watching this game going, oh my God, look at this. We're actually doubling Joel Embiid. And at one point, and they called a foul, but Embiid was backing up Giannis. Giannis was guarding Joel Embiid. And here comes Damian Lillard in to swipe the ball away or whatever. That type of stuff is what I love. I love to see this. We talk about the Packers all the time, how we play 5 yards off the wide receiver, 10 yards off the wide receiver. Why can't we be aggressive and play man-to-man and be more physical? Well, this is the defense Adrian Griffin and Coach Mutombo are bringing to Milwaukee. I like it. Are there going to be some nights where guys are going to be in foul trouble because of how aggressive they are? Yes. But I think that's going to be early. And I think by the time you get to the playoffs, providing they stay consistent, by the time you get to the playoffs, that is going to be the accepted way of how the Bucks play defense. And if that's the accepted way of how the Bucks play defense, that they're known as a physical defensive team that's going to play up, they're going to be slapping, they're going to be doing all this stuff. These referees, by the time you get to the playoffs, are going to look the other way on some of this stuff. On some of this tic-tac stuff, there's going to be like, that's who they are. That's how they play. Like, it is what it is. I'm not blowing my whistle every 2 seconds because of how aggressive they are. I'm just not. I'll get the obvious ones. But outside of that, some of this other tic-tac stuff, I'm not calling because they're all doing the same thing. I'm not blowing my whistle every 5 seconds. So if you can maintain an identity of being a physical style defense, those referees, when you get to the postseason that have done your games all year, are going to let you slide for the most part on a lot of this stuff, are going to let you get away with a lot of this stuff. And then it's really going to benefit yourself. I would be shocked if this Bucks team doesn't create significantly more turnovers this year than what they did last year. Significantly more turnovers. I mean, it is a beautiful thing to watch, folks. I'm telling you right now, you are going to love this. Of everything tonight that we saw, right? The only big issue I have was only with Giannis. And that's an MVP, multiple-time MVP. That's the best player in Bucks history, in my opinion. Best player in Bucks history. And it's just a couple of things that he has to learn not to do now that he has Lillard, right? Outside of that, the rest of this, I mean, I I don't know how you possibly can be angry at this point. I think you have to be fairly optimistic and happy with what you saw. And again, the 76ers are going to be a team. They're going to get better throughout the year. Remember, they got a new coach in Nick Nurse, just like the Bucks have an Adrian Griffin. This is a difficult matchup, I think, right off the bat for Adrian Griffin, because you're coaching a guy against a guy that has been your mentor for the last several years. You know him. He knows you. You both are going to try and do the same type of stuff defensively. So it's kind of like coaching against a mirror for Adrian Griffin. And you came out and you won because you have Damian Lillard. That's why you won. Plain and simple at the end of the day. It is so much fun to be a Milwaukee Bucks fan right now. It is so much fun to be a Milwaukee Bucks fan right now watching this. How about instant replay and how this whole thing is playing out this year for instant replay? They overturned a call in this game to the Bucks' favor because they said Brook Lopez and Joel Embiid had marginal contact. Now, as a Bucks fan, love it. Great call. Great call. Yeah. Great call. Great. Yeah. And they give the ball to the Bucks, which doesn't make any sense either. But either way, Bucks benefit. This is my big concern about this. Where exactly is it going to be determined what marginal contact is of whether or not you overturn a foul call? You want to talk about a gray area. You want to talk about a slippery slope. You want to talk about conspiracy theories about referees and NBA games and all this other stuff. Now you're going to allow these refs to determine marginal contact and whether or not that's deemable for a whistle to be blown at this point. I'm telling you right now, it worked to the Bucks' benefit. I don't think I'm a fan of this going forward, though. I don't. And the other thing I don't like it taking forever to make a decision on what is going on. I mean, that last replay took forever. And then Stan Van Gundy's on the air guessing wrongly about what they decided based on the body language and what they were talking about by the referees. But no, I don't like this quote unquote marginal contact. So we're taking back the foul that the whistle that we blew. That is something else. That is something else. I think when you talk about it from this perspective. Again, if you're just tuning in, this is Green and Growing Podcast. You can listen to it on your Odyssey app. On usually it's Monday and Friday, or Monday and Thursday nights we do it. So it's available on Tuesday and Friday mornings. Download on your Odyssey app or anywhere you download your favorite podcast at. We always normally live stream these bad boys here on the Odyssey Sports YouTube page, so you can check out a lot of the YouTube videos we've done in the past if you missed any of them. Nathan Marzian is normally my co-host. Follow him at Nathan Marzian. However, tonight he went to the Bucks game, so he wasn't available to join me tonight here on the podcast, but there was no way I could not do the podcast tonight after this game. Just impossible. Joshua said, if people noticed when the Bucks went on runs, it was with Crowder on the floor, and Bat needs to start hitting wide open shots. Yes, I agree. And that's why I am telling you, I think Marjan at some point here may get his job before it's all said and done. I do. I think there is a possibility that you may see that happen here as we go forward. And got some people here agreeing with me on the review stuff being horrible. Adrian Griffin. Saw some people on Twitter saying, I'd rather have Nick Nurse. Why? Based on what? Like, if you're on YouTube right now and you're watching and you think that Adrian Griffin made mistakes, tell me. Tell me what he did wrong that you didn't like, outside of having the whole bench on the floor at one time for like 3 or 4 minutes. Okay, I agree. That was knucklehead. That should not happen. Providing Giannis, Lillard, and Middleton are healthy and not in foul trouble, one of those guys should always be out there. I'm with you 100%. Outside of that, why would there be people mad at Adrian Griffin for at this point? Because I don't, again, I'm not some basketball savant by any stretch of the imagination. So if you could point out to me why you're mad and why you think Nick Nurse is so much better, okay, well, let me hear it. Comment here on the YouTube page if you're listening. And if you're listening to this after the fact, tweet me at Sparky Radio or at Nathan Marzian if you want to tweet at him. And tell us why you think that you'd rather have Nick Nurse over Adrian Griffin. Because I think, for the most part, this Bucks team played fairly well. So I am so excited for this season. So excited because this is the first real game where we've seen them all on the floor. And we still haven't seen them all on the floor with Middleton playing 30 minutes. So as they continue to play and as the chemistry continues to build, and you see them continuously trying to kind of anticipate where the other one's going to be, and they start making these great anticipation passes, which they can't make really right now because they really haven't played together. Yes, training camp. That's not the same thing as a regular season game. So let's just get that out there out of the way first, because defenses are going to be changing and so forth. So once that happens, then this offense is going to go to another level. Speaking of Adrian Griffin, that man came out and played a zone later in that game. Changed it up and said, I'm going to go zone. Let's see what they do with this. Love that. How could you not love that? That's showing them something they haven't shown the whole game. Have not seen the whole game. Now, if you're in a Bucks opponent, you got to know, okay, they're gonna try and play zone on us from time to time. You know, how are we going to handle that after they're up in your grill, they're running doubles, they're doing all this stuff, and now they come back and they go, okay, go ahead and shoot. Let's see what you do with this. That's the stuff that I like, right? And with all due respect to Budenholzer, this defense that Griffin is playing, to me, it's going to have a bigger payoff than how they play defense under Bud. I really believe that's going to be true. And at the end of the day, that is why people are going to be excited about this coaching staff. Now, could Adrian Griffin make mistakes? Sure. But let me give you a quick word of advice here. Let's say Adrian Griffin draws up a bad play coming out of a timeout. Do you want to know what the eraser to that is? Damian Lillard. So even if he draws up something that doesn't work all that great, Lillard by himself is good enough to where it's like, okay, this isn't going to work. So I'm just going to create and do something myself. May make it, may miss it. Either way, you're still feeling comfortable because Lillard has that opportunity. Where before, if something was drawn up wrong and looked ugly, who was that guy that was going to get you out of it? I mean, Middleton sometimes, but outside of that, Giannis wasn't going to be able to do something on his own most of the time. And Drew once in a while could, but again, it's not Damian Lillard. That's the biggest difference, right? That is the biggest difference to this whole thing. I don't know about you, but in the beginning of this game, when the Bucks didn't look all that good in the first quarter, Lillard wasn't getting the ball, and everybody else was taking shots. And I tweeted out, I said, I don't know about you, but I would like to see Lillard more involved in the offense, right? Take some more shots. They come out of that timeout, and then Lillard goes on this run to start the big run in the second quarter, and away we go. I remember back in the day, Sam Cassell, when he was a member of the Milwaukee Bucks, he always wanted to get Glenn and Ray kind of going early in the game, Glenn Robinson and Ray Allen, because if they get going offensively, then they tended to be more locked in defensively, and they were feeling good about themselves with a couple of early baskets, and then Sam would find his offense as they went. That's kind of how it would go. And say what you want about Sam Cassell. Dude's super smart, and that's why I wanted him to be the head coach of the Bucks. Either way, it didn't work out. So, if I'm Adrian Griffin, and I'm Joe Prunty and these guys on this coaching staff, I want Damian Lillard to take, 3 of the first 6 shots, 3 of the first 7 shots, something like that. I'm drawing up a couple of things to make sure Lillard gets a couple of shots early in the game. The one thing I don't want is I don't want Lillard to be the one guy that gets up 1 shot in the first 6-7 minutes of a basketball game. Meanwhile, Giannis is throwing up 4. Middleton has 2. Brook Lopez has 2. And Lillard has 1. No. Lillard should be the guy that gets going early. And then everybody feeds off of Lillard at that point. Let Lillard be the guy to get this offense going. And then, again, everybody falls in line behind Damian Lillard. And I know that sounds crazy when we start talking about, Giannis being an MVP. And I'm saying Damian Lillard should be the guy that gets this offense going at the beginning of games by taking some shots early. But that's the best way for this to work, in my opinion, for a couple of different reasons. Because if Giannis doesn't have the ball and doesn't have the want to go drive over people and possibly pick up early fouls, then Giannis isn't in foul trouble early, number one. Number two, Lillard by himself can get you on a 10-0 run, 12-0 run by scoring 8 of the 10 or 10 of the 12 points by himself and being that instant offense. I didn't like how the game started out. where he was kind of just like ignored in the offense and everybody else that has played together was doing their thing. And then finally out of that timeout, Giannis went to the bench and away we went. And, Damian Lillard kind of took over. That's what you want to see earlier in the game when they're both on the floor. And again, I think you will over the course of time. I think it's just going to take an adjustment and some learning from everybody to kind of see how this whole thing plays out. Now let's see what it looks like, coming up in game 2. And obviously we're doing this, so I've not seen the press conferences of what Adrian Griffin has to say, what Giannis has to say, what Lillard and these guys all have to say. But pretty fired up, pretty excited to see what this Bucks team is going to look like going forward. That'll do it for a post-game podcast for you. Bucks get the victory tonight, 118-117. Lillard, 39 points, 8 boards, 4 assists on the night. Again, don't forget, download this on your Odyssey app or if you download your favorite podcast app. Enjoy the rest of your night. Have a good one. Toodles.